Hello. Hello, camper.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, and look at the top left corner. Ooh, recording.
That's sexy.
Yeah, I've gone for a new look now to show off the Pat Butcher hair. So I've turned the lights off. You can see behind me. I've got those spots above me, but it does now make it look like my head is actually glowing, which
It's amazing.
I'm not unhappy with. Does it look like a
If,
crown?
if you had a matching beard, you'd look like God right now.
God, to be amazing. And I tell you how smooth it is. It's amazing. I just sit there stroking it, the hair, all day long. It's amazing. Anyway, hello, podcasters, vloggers, loyal kerfuffleites, and other people. You look
Are
like,
we? Is this it now? We're online. We're live.
but look, we're a show that we're real. We're not about oh hello, your learnings today are going to be blah blah blah. No, we're straight, we're
Can I
real.
just tell you, this is surreal. I have literally just left. It's very, very morbid, but I've just left a funeral
Oh,
that was entirely conducted via Zoom.
what?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, no.
Okay, so that's a real thing.
That's a real thing. It literally just ended now, and obviously people aren't able to go to other people's funerals, so they do it on Zoom, and it's
Bloody hell!
horrible.
I had a mate who sadly lost his dad just a couple of weeks ago, and there was only 5 people who were obviously allowed to go to the funeral. But obviously, technology is caught up in. So somebody there literally had it on a phone, zooming it.
Yeah, so somebody was zooming it, and I think the reason that they offer that service is that they are trying to discourage people who may have been inclined to risk it and come to show their
Yeah.
support for the bereaved. They put it on there, and there was probably about 100 people watching it when I was on there, and it was the most bizarre. I mean, I've done loads of Zoom sessions over the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks, but
And some of them have felt funereal.
yes. Some of them, I've wished I was on the other end of that, but no, that is
So
surreal. But yeah,
so was it weird? I mean, obviously there was a weirdness there, but was there singing? I don't know what goes on at your.
no. Well, it was a very sort of they've kind of all the people that you could see that were in attendance there were obviously keeping a good 2 meters apart, and they abridged the entire
Mm.
ceremony anyway. So Stephen, my friend who lost his mum just yesterday, actually to coronavirus, as it happens. So he said a few words about his mum. His brother, who is in a different country, is trapped, not able to get here for the funeral. So everybody was kind of joining them on Zoom. So it just, I suppose it takes that technology and makes it
It does
work for
also
every
mean
occasion.
does also mean those people that you don't really like that much in the future, but you feel like you should be there, gives you a secondary option now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you log on and you've got a sort of, you can see who's watching the
Yeah.
Zoom session, so
Not too many likes.
you can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very sad. Yeah.
Oh well, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry for you and your friend, but obviously it's quite prevalent at the moment. Sorry, did you say she died yesterday and she was buried today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't mess around in our religion. Bam. Yeah. As soon as
Wow,
we will bury you as soon as you. Yeah,
that's
that's
very
it.
impressive.
Lights out. Bam.
I
Done.
like that. That isn't, you don't want to be sat around for ages, do you? And all that sort of.
The truth is, I work with some colleagues that aren't Jewish, and obviously and I was invited to a funeral, and I said, okay, when is it? What time is it today? And they said, oh, no, it's going to be in 3 weeks' time. And I thought, it's a bit odd. You keep them on ice for a few weeks. So
It's like a well hung steak.
here's a bit of education for you. So where were you born?
Kuwait.
Kuwait, exactly right. So as you know, the temperatures in Kuwait are quite hot.
Yes,
So
they are.
in the Muslim and Jewish religions, you'll find that bodies are buried either the same day or the next day,
Just
and the
because of
reason
that.
is you can't mess around out there at that
No.
heat. You'll soon know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they get them in the
I
ground.
remember the first time. I remember the first time I ever did that. Does the egg actually cook on the sidewalk? And not
Oh,
only did it,
it does.
oh, it really does. Yeah, yeah. Pretty soon. Oh well, that's.
So that's a bit of history and geography and yeah, religion all thrown into one.
It is. Yesterday we had a lovely time with Oliver, and I've been thinking more about that. That really is a special service there. We need to get him back on to talk about that. The M44, sort of
The social
really,
stuff. Yeah.
really interesting stuff there. One thing we did forget to do, I wanted to just say a big shout out to, well, first of all, Charlie Perdios of Anthony Pepe fame, because he's been having a really tough time apparently with the coronavirus. He's coming out the other side, and likewise Mike Uchana from Robinson, Michael and Jackson. Mike's an absolute gent for anyone that knows him, but he's having a really horrible time in hospital, and I think we're at that horrible phase now, whether it's peak or not doesn't really matter, but we're all now, from not having known anyone suffer from it, actually seeing people who are, really getting in the worst. So best of luck to all them. I hope they obviously pull through in the quickest possible time, and for all those other people we haven't mentioned, obviously.
Would you like to say a few words about our Prime Minister, Simon?
I'd better not, mate. I'd better not. Hey, look, it's tragic, and everything else.
I'm gonna read a statement on behalf of Mr. Simon Whale. Unaccustomed as I am to comment on political shenanigans, we obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Johnson family at the moment. Regardless of our thoughts about his political policies, his behaviour as regards Brexit and anything else controversial.
What you're trying to do.
We wish the man no ill will and hope that he makes a speedy recovery to take our great nation on to strength. Thank you. That'll be all.
If that ever hits the public, you will be hearing from my solicitor on the belief that I have a solicitor that will deal with me.
But joking aside, I have seen the polar opposite of that. So obviously you're quite reserved on what you're able to say on this medium, but
I just don't want to be two-faced. I don't want to be two-faced about it.
No, well, but the vitriol that you see online is just absolutely uncalled for.
No, so, that's Twitter, isn't it? I mean, and we mainly talk about Twitter because obviously, at least on Facebook, there's a phase to it. But I mean, Twitter is literally just the kooks and maniacs, which is why it's such a fantastic medium.
It's it is a crazy medium, and I've seen a lot of bad stuff on there. But listen, it's a horrible disease. This.
It really is, isn't it? I think back now when we first started. It wasn't even that long ago, was it? Was it a month ago when we actually had the?
Well, when we were in the studio with the masks on. Yeah, it seemed like it was never going to hit home as hard as it did. And do you know what? As humans, like you've probably done.
I'm human. Yeah, I'm human.
Well, you used to be. But anybody that's ever smoked a cigarette in their life, you are brought up knowing that smoking cigarettes is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Except there's some part of your brain that when you lift that cigarette to your lips, you think, actually, no, it's not going to kill me. It kills other people. And it's the same cognitive dissonance that goes along with our approach to a pandemic sometimes. Until you know somebody that's actually been affected by it or passed away, as a human being, you don't flick that switch in your head and think.
No, you don't. I mean, a lot of people have been giving it the old, and I understand to a degree, they're talking about the 10,000, is it weekly deaths? Yeah, I think it is weekly deaths, isn't it? In the UK, and because somehow, it's only a proportion of that, we should treat it any less seriously, which of course, anyone who's talking about, well, that's why we're doing the prevention is to stop it doing. But those kooks that are out there, I mean, I believe you've heard about the whole 5G conspiracy theory, obviously, haven't you? That somehow the 5G towers are, if not creating the disease, are diminishing the human immune system enough that it's having a worse effect. And I saw somebody on Facebook just today who was literally still pronouncing that, the very definition of fake news. And of course, a load of little acolytes going off spreading the bullshit ever further. But sorry,
I think that
the reason why I was getting back, the reason I was going to say that is, and yet Brighton Council has stopped the rollout of some 5G towers on the base of these kooks.
Because again, it's the same with all these conspiracy theories, but I think unfortunately this has a slightly xenophobic sort of twang to it, as anything to do with coronavirus does. Because if you listen to the kooks, as you call them, you're not just like mispronouncing the word cook.
I didn't know whether to jump back in afterwards, and I thought I'm almost certainly going to get labelled anyway. But no, I didn't say anything.
So these kooks, as you're talking about, they are internet crazies, right? But the xenophobic sort of underbelly of coronavirus is this whole tracing it back to its roots in China, and all of that. And any time that you see, I'd like to say hi to Sean Adams, big fan of all your stuff. But when I see Sean posting about coronavirus in the early days, it was really sort of like tracing its origins back to where it came from in China, and that got me thinking: is that relevant? Is that something that we need to think about? So obviously, yes, everybody wants to trace it back to its roots, but I think this 5G thing, as you know, it's a Chinese company that has been developing the technology, and so it feeds into the wider conspiracy theory, which is you've got the 5G technology, you've got coronavirus, and you've got the Chinese success on the stock market at the moment. And if you
you're missing the fourth and most one of the
go on.
putting these together. Obviously, Zoom shares doubling and tripling with a Chinese CEO.
Yes, there you go. So when you put all of those elements together, you've got yourself a kook pie, my friend.
When are you going to answer to this, Ken Hom? Sat over here for years, just watching us. But you are right though, and there really is. I mean, there's the latent racism in terms of just the Chinatown being empty and somebody not having a sweet and sour from Enfield because they're worried it's being flown in direct from Beijing. Okay, you can put that down to stupidity and everything else. But then there was a lady who was punched and kicked out of went viral on YouTube down in East London, out of an Asian supermarket. Basically, wasn't being allowed to shop in there, but just because she was Chinese. Now that's when it all suddenly starts to get a bit too serious and a bit too real, isn't it?
It does, and that's the trouble with these conspiracy theories. There's an element of truth to all of them, but then it's a hop, skip, and a jump before we start changing our behaviour towards certain ethnic groups, and not a good time to be doing that.
No, not really, not all in it together.
If anything, this should show us that we're all capable. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, you're poor, you are a Tory or Labour, whoever, you're going to get it. And it's going to affect you the same. So have you got any cheerful news for? Oh, hang on. Sorry, going back to 5G. I believe you took delivery of a parcel yesterday, did you not?
Can you see how brilliant? I was just so fucked off with it the other day, with Ian when I was doing my Max Headroom thing. So I gave up on. I was going to say I gave up on Virgin, but that sounds wrong. But it's not. They're much heralded 400 meg is up and down like the stock market at the moment. So I thought, well, I'll just have a look. I know 5G is rolling out. They do a 5G router, and it promises to deliver up to a gig of speed, which of course, now it's not there at the moment, but it is doing 150 meg at the moment. And as I said, it's in the early stages for it. And this is meant to, just in terms of taking it back to technology, of course, these babies are meant to be replacing the incredibly expensive to lay down cable networks and traditional broadband that people have been talking about. That was the whole idea about 5G, extra range, extra frequency, and the ability to actually go through walls. And I think it's that element, actually, that's the bit that spooks people out. I think they see that that the way it permeates walls, and it somehow feels like almost like an X-ray effect, doesn't it? And as you can see, it hasn't affected me.
No, I can see your radioactive hair. But I remember when in the early days of mobile phones, there was that whole thing that you shouldn't put your mobile in your pocket next to your gonads because it'll make you infertile.
Yeah.
3 kids are testament to the fact that never worked, and I had 2 phones, right? And and then when I remember when the babies were born, Wi-Fi. This is going back about 12 years.
They were born joined together. That was the problem.
But I remember this is when our first was born. This was 12 years ago. My mother-in-law used to make us switch off the Wi-Fi router before we put the baby to sleep every night. Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it's a really difficult. I mean, I don't know. If you go on one level, I'm sure that a visitor from the future will be looking around at all these electronic devices, throwing away things, and there might be some element of truth in it. But it's the broad brushstroke and certainty of the conspiracy theorists. I'll point you to. Have you seen the guy who talks with the street patois whilst driving, talking about the conspiracy theory of 5G?
No.
I'll send you after, and we'll put a link up on just for any of our. And sorry, we've done Dick of the Week already, but this is Content of the Month. Can we do Content of the Month?
I'm going to have to get a new trophy for that. I spent hours making that one.
Mrs. Minch, you looks in.
I'll have to find something suitable. Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. But no. So anyway, I've got that up there, and it's doing its job anyway for the moment.
Fantastic.
So this is more like a David and Simon talk shite episode, isn't it? Than relevant shite, obviously.
Those are my favourite episodes. Let me tell you.
Yeah, this is for me. Maybe we should just keep this recording amongst ourselves.
So, can we talk about the before I had to run off to that funeral? We were on another Zoom call with Paul. We can talk about that, can't we?
I was going to say I think we should do because it's not often. Do you want to kick off with it?
Yeah. So I mean, we were on a session with Paul Long, who was doing his magic. Now, anybody that knows Paul Long, he's got his roots in agency, but he is, of course, the Facebook advertising guru. Now, I know at Normie & Company, we got in touch with Paul probably about a year ago, and a lot of people know that in order to sort of raise your presence online in terms of Facebook reach and who your audience is, the easiest way to do that is to boost the post. But boosting the post is like cheap crack. Facebook is always suggesting, "Oh, boost this post. It's great. People are looking at it. Here's a $5. Go on. I'll put the first $5 in. You jump on this." But the issue is that boosting posts, I think, are the crudest method of really raising your game.
Yeah.
There are better ways of doing it. And Paul is one of those guys who very quickly will unlock those audiences for you that are already visiting your website. They're already visiting your Facebook pages, and it's a way of sort of re-engaging with
even this shite.
Yeah. So anybody watching this, we're paying to reach it. But what's interesting is because years ago, an agent called Perry Power, obviously.
Yeah, brilliant agency, isn't it? Not on the high street. Has a very popular, obviously, Facebook group, doesn't he? Which he just
he's very funky, Perry, and he wears turtlenecks and those glasses, and he talks with his hands a lot. All his videos are like this.
Yeah.
But one thing that he did very early on in the game is that he invests in those adverts that follow you around the internet.
Oh,
and literally you could be sat there at 3:00 in the morning watching porn, and Perry's face would pop up looking for a house. Yeah. Looks like you've got a bit of a semi.
Here to help you.
And I've seen other agents use it. So we spoke about Sean. So Cooper Adams used it. They followed me around the internet for a couple of years as well. But this is actually a way there are ways of doing it for your business quite cheaply
Yeah.
without having to invest in all of that. So anybody that's interested should definitely speak to Paul Long. I know that he's helped a number
He's
of
on
estate
the
agents.
he is on the Kerfuffle website, isn't he? Because he did we got him at
I think so.
we got him at Sandfest actually. Had a really interesting sort of. I think there's a full interview with him actually there where we go through a lot of this stuff that's working through. So what people would be lookalike audiences, dynamic audiences, all of these buzzwords that you hear people talking about. He just sets out in the most simplistic fashion for you, isn't it? And I don't know about you, but over the course of an hour, my basic understanding. I'm now an expert, or at least that's what I'll be telling everyone.
I saw you sleeping, I think, at some point during that. But it's amazing. It's how you absorb knowledge, isn't it?
I haven't got a problem with actually falling asleep in things. Actually, you accused me of falling asleep in the studio the other when I was there, and the thing was, I wasn't sure whether I had or not.
It's very warm in there normally, so.
I miss them, don't you? Though I miss our little Mancunian.
I like to be able to smell you, and it's difficult.
Yeah. Maybe we should send you a pair of my. No.
Please don't. Probably not. Probably
So
not.
what's happening in the news then at the moment in our little industry then? So a lot. I think I don't know how you're obviously in a lot of the same agency groups. Do you sense that people are just starting to? I sense more coming out of the curve of acceptability or whatever it is, the curve of grief. There seems to be a lot more this week. As I said, the website went absolutely berserk. I mean, Moneypenny put a great deal on, and a few others have been coming up with it. So there was a bit more, but actually, people were just in that sort of zone now that were like, "I'm going to do something about this." I'm not going to just sit around and wait for it to happen.
I think what's generally happened is that people are going a bit stir crazy, and this whole behave nicely, be a nice human being, support your community. I think people have got a bit sick of that now, and they are probably reverting to type, which is shit. What's happening to my business? I need to push something. So I think you'll probably see a lot more, like you say, you do see people being a bit more bold with their ask and what they're going to the market with. But I still think it's probably just a tad too early. And I think that people need to hold off until they get further down the line. But now is, and we've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I don't know why you're not saying it more often, but now is the time to get on top of your suppliers. And there is no easier way than to use the Kerfuffle website to do that.
Basically, I'm a very poor businessman. If we look at the actual core reasons, David,
I should be so poor.
bad.
Listen, it's a fantastic tool. The guys at Starbury have done a fantastic job of designing it.
I think you genuinely, some of the stuff we've got coming out, and I won't spoil it yet because I am going to shout from the hilltops, but we're going to have a real couple of, funny enough, we've actually doubled up on the development with them because obviously they've reached a stage now where obviously, not too many people are doing websites. So I've been able to get a bit more resource there to just hasten the development of some of the stuff we're doing. But I think that now's the time, isn't it? As I said, if you can have those conversations with key suppliers, you can be setting yourself up well for the future.
So just for our listeners, so again, I got contacted by Andy Davis, who used to be on his daily run. He's one of these guys, he's got very fit recently. So he runs every day, and he used to listen to the EA podcast.
Yeah.
Now those are like hen's teeth at the moment. There's not loads of them. They've really kind of dropped their game on that. But in fairness, the guys have been busy supporting the industry in other ways, to be honest. They've left us to do the content side of things. But Andy asked, he watched yesterday's edition with Oliver, and he asked, so he wants to know all about this Kerfuffle tool, how we get on it. Can you take us through that? Is that something you want to do right now, or do you want to do it at a later stage?
No, I'll tell you what we'll do is we are going to be doing a podcast. It's not this week, I don't think, but next week, where I'll be giving an overview to absolutely everybody how they can claim essentially their and claim their page, build their dashboard with their suppliers. I mean, it's a very quick, easy demonstration. I think the questions afterwards in terms of what you can do will be the nice, interesting stuff. But yeah, what we'll do, David, is we'll post it on there, and I'm more than happy to we can either do a recording of it or take you through it live online, because there's no reason at all why we can't do that. But you're quite right. There's a lot of activity on there, because it would be stupid to waste this period that we have had enforced on us, get out the other side where you're going to be just too busy to do it, and miss out on the inevitable savings that there are by just doing this simple process. There has not been somebody yet, as far as I'm aware, no one's told me, who has downloaded the white paper, implemented it, and not failed to save thousands of pounds. So I'm not saying anything particularly revolutionary, but it's just about get started quick.
Fantastic. So we will cover that. Just to go back to our Dick of the Week. So yesterday we reported on the estate agents who started a fierce debate on Facebook about whether it was ethical or not to conduct those house sale viewings during the coronavirus. And the Negotiator magazine today reports that she is standing by her decision not to go ahead with the viewing. Sam Ashdown, who co-owns the upmarket agency in the Lake District called Ashdown Jones with her son-in-law, says the critical comments that appeared on Facebook after she revealed the viewing over the weekend were understandable. I love a good rant myself, and I'm happy to take on opposing opinions, but don't tell me how to run my business, she said. Ashdown says the details of why she conducted a viewing for a potential buyer of 1.25 million new build luxury home were not revealed by her original social media post, which she says were made to a private group. The buyers had sold their home, moved out just before coronavirus crisis hit, and have been living in a mobile home park where they didn't feel safe. So they agreed to view the property as long as no one was put at risk. They cycled there. I left gloves, hand sanitizer, and the keys to the property by the front door while watching from a distance, and I safely retrieved the keys when they had left. If the Prime Minister
sounds like some of my dates, David.
I was going to say that is one hell of a date. If there's a sock on the door, don't come in. We're doing a viewing.
Here's the sanitizer.
If the Prime Minister was sat opposite me, so to speak, I would be comfortable explaining my decision. Nobody was put at risk. A couple have found accommodation, and I've sold a home and made a tidy 15 grand in commission, which will help keep our business afloat. So I think Sam's put her case forward there. She's a very not controversial, but just a Marmite character in the industry. She was a very well-respected trainer back in the day. I think she now does a bit more estate agency down in the lakes.
I've always liked, what Sam's angle on most things. Most of it's very sensible. It comes from a quality end, which is, it's about self-improvement. I find there's very few, even those ones that you don't chime with. I can't have a problem with any of the trainer gurus who are just simply trying to improve, quality. You can't argue, really, can you? At the end of the day, so.
I think there's probably something to learn from all of them, and you have to choose the one that fits your style, and you have to be aware that this is, getting a trainer in is the first step. I think you will then be asked to invest both personally in terms of time and training and maybe changing those habits.
Yeah.
But you will also have to invest in marketing and things that you've never done before in order to up your game.
I think the very best trainers and gurus are the ones that actually will start advising the agents and the clients themselves. Look, inevitably, it's not a never-ending well of brilliance and innovation. Well, apart from myself, but eventually those ones that warn the client that, look, you've probably reached as far as you can with me for the moment. I'd recommend, and they will recommend another trainer who just comes from a completely different angle, so that you don't get that diminishing return there. That's very different, by the way, to a mentoring style relationship where one of those trainers or gurus will be checking in and encouraging you, checking KPIs and all that sort of stuff. That's a very different relationship. But just in terms of raw training, it's quite easy to get to that point where I've seen most of this before with a lot of them.
Yeah, no, and I think if you can find a trainer that is also a mentor, that's amazing. One thing I love about Stephen Brown is he's extremely unassuming, and probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And don't let that fool you. He will call me when I am least expecting it, and he'll just check in on me. He'll ask me how I'm doing, how the family's doing, and he'll just chuck one of those questions at me that is designed to make me do something, to think, and to say, I'm holding you accountable. And I think more than just a mentor, you need an accountability partner, somebody who's going to say, has it been done?
Haven't we chosen ours? If I'm not wrong, didn't we call out Stephen on WhatsApp and say, you and your buddies, let's go head to head on a live webinar as far as, so here you are, it's the Kerfuffle podcast, calling you boys out. Give us all your learnings, all that, giving it all that Overman.
Yeah, you can have as much learnings as you want, but what's your earnings like?
Yeah, when Manchester comes looking for you, my friend. So I think we should do that live because, of course, that will be hilarious technically.
Well,
and stream through to Facebook. We're probably going to need Paul Long, to help us.
To show us how to do it.
I've got no sound, Paul. I've got no sound.
Okay. Anything else that you spotted in the news?
So. I think we've meandered. This is a lovely, nice, relaxing one, this, wasn't it? Obviously, as usual, we've done no preparation. Some of the more astute listeners and viewers may have picked up on that. But,
Simon, I'd like to apologise to one of our listeners now, live on air.
Music?
Yeah, go on. Put some sad music on.
Oh, shit, I haven't got anything. No.
I'm waiting.
I've got the Family Fortunes buzzer.
I'm not sure that's going to work for what I'm about to say, but to Jez Lee of Agent OS, I'm deeply sorry. You lost your dog just, I think, yesterday. We're part of the same WhatsApp group. I chose that. I had no idea, but I chose that moment to put 27 separate dog memes on the group, and I understand that may be construed as being highly, insensitive. And our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family at this time.
Yeah, well, what is there to say to that, really?
It's literally, you could not make it up. I had no idea that had happened, and it just hit at the same time.
But what you did, of course, which I did like, you did the Captain Oates and just walked and said, I may be some time, because there was a little, David Mintz has left the group in terms of, I've absolutely fucked up here, there's no way.
Well, Amy contacted me. She said, you have no idea what you've just done, have you? And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get my coat and I'm going to leave.
Really, it's Amy's fault more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, Amy. Super fan Amy. It's your fault. You dumped me in it.
Yeah, there you are. Well, anyway. I'm sure Jez will make it through. He's a lovable character and he's very forgiving. And I can't wait to see it at the next awards when you both see each other.
Yeah, I know. Look, I look forward to meeting
just
Jez.
On that, by the way, can I just say, just on one point, I was speaking to the wonderful couple, Simon and Sarah from the Esters now, and of course, that's inevitably, it's going to be postponed, who knew about cancelled. That I can say that they're almost certain on getting a new venue and date for later in the year. So the Esters will return with the wonderful Phil as well, and there's some really exciting stuff. So hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll get some more information on that as well.
Fantastic. Have we got a rematch for Sandsfest yet?
I haven't seen anything there. I did see a report. No, I haven't seen anything.
I know Sanjay's been quite poorly.
Did he have it? Did he have it, or was he?
I
Was
think he
he
was. I don't know. It was a bit ambiguous. You know, like when people check into hospitals and don't say why, and then people ask them, "Are you okay, hon?" And you direct message me for more details.
And it's because the hospital's right next to the kebab shop, which has got no parking.
Maybe something like that, but I don't know. But I hope he's well. He did actually share some wonderful content the other day. I think I shared it with you.
Was that the home stuff?
Yes. So there was some comparisons of they were talking to that guy who provides the analysis on the portal leads generated before and after coronavirus in different countries.
And you've been talking about that. Have you got that link? Because
I've got it here. One second.
Why don't you put it on the link for later on? Because I think actually that as you know, Stanley did show those ones, and you I know you have been talking about it. There's some really interesting stuff in there. If you a bit like the disease, you can track the development. You have got a bit of a time machine to see what could be happening with the portal.
Well, I'm just going to run very briefly through it because Sanjay posted it online, so I'm sure it's okay to spread this about a bit. But it also gives a snapshot of what the portals are currently doing in every country. So I'm just gonna run through that really briefly. So Zillow, as you know, is one of the leading portals in the States. So they've offered a 50% discount on a monthly bill. To their agents. There's Realtor.com. They're offering 60%. Rightmove, as you know, have offered 75% for all customers for 4 months. Zoopla are looking at sort of 5 months free now. On the market, a 33% discount to full-paying agents. And again, that is a massive red herring because what is full-paying? Nobody really knows. The REA groups, I believe they're in Australia.
That's right. Realestate.com. Yeah.
They've been quite kind. They've postponed their July price rise of 8%.
I'll tell you what, just as an aside here, David, if anybody thinks that that Rightmove are this huge megalomaniac and everything else there, you want to have a close look at realestate.com. $5,000 plus for an individual listing on the website.
However, you can relist premium depth listings for free.
Sorry, that phrase that I saw that first time round. Just read that out again and tell me what you understand that is to be.
What the relist of premium depth listings? Was
it depth or something? Depth listing? Does that mean ones that have just been basically sat on there, sadly doing nothing?
I'm presuming that. I mean, I know that with Rightmove, a premium listing is a way of. We would always use it as to placate a client. So if you called and said, "Look, I've had no viewings on my property," we'd say, "You know what? We're going to upgrade your listing to a premium listing. You'll get more hits." So it's always been one of those upsells. So and again,
but it's the depth listing there because I mean Australia obviously famously has it's normally a month campaign with then an auction at
the end of it. Yeah, I'm presuming that they're going to find that because those sales are not coming, that you can just relist them and basically just keep it going for free. But what you'll see from these comparisons is that actually UK agents, Rightmove, have been probably the most generous out of all the portals globally,
isn't it?
Yeah. But then they go to have a look at, they do some comparisons between the UK and Italy, and they're showing approximately a 50 to 60% drop in new listings, which you would imagine. And the lead drop is quite interesting. So you've got 50% on European portals have dropped. Zoopla is showing a 40% drop at the moment. Zillow 30%, and across the US, I think it's got an average of about 30%. So it's just really interesting to compare those stats to try and work out where we're going, and it shows you that there is a bit of a pattern emerging in terms of global real estate behavior, in terms of how people, and I think the difference is that because we are now all in confinement globally on the whole, within our homes, we do not want to think about selling that because it's our protection from the outside world at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
well, sorry, we're the whole world apart from North Korea. Don't forget, no confirmed cases.
Hey, there is only one country I read last night that has had 0 cases reported, and that is Turkmenistan.
Oh, what it was 18 or 19 just the other day when we were talking.
I was told it was 0 there. And
he's a dictator, isn't he?
It's one of those. It's a weird mix they've got there. So predominant religion in the country is Muslim.
Yeah.
The state of government there has been communist for many years. It used to be part of the USSR, and therefore they are. It's seen as being quite a harsh regime on the whole. They're able to suppress some of their statistics here and there. I would take those figures with a pinch of salt, but
so it's a lot like Britain then.
A little bit like certain enclaves of Britain, yes. But we will continue to monitor what goes on here in Britain. There is some fantastic weather happening, but I must tell you, stay indoors or stay within the confines of your home. Do not be tempted to go out and touch Simon Whale. No. I can see him too, and it is tempting. Don't do it.
Do you want to rub the head? That way. Yeah. I'll be here till afterwards, unless I'm not, obviously. In which case, this was my last will and testament. But okay, Dave. Well, let's catch up tomorrow, and thank you for that. I feel a lot more relaxed now that we've talked all that out.
Okay, that's wonderful. We'll see you all soon. Love you. Bye bye.
Love you too.